around?
He's doing dishes.
Deb, we heard a lot about some kind of walnut coffee cake, I believe that you.
Oh, you
Did you just say coffee?
Because I thought I was going to bring it down with me.
Yeah, I generally my mother's gift of choice for a lot of either events, bereavement, just about any social engagement, that coffee cake gets made, and it's without fail. Everybody asks for the recipe.
Yeah, sour cream coffee cake.
What? How long have you been making them, Mom? 89?
Well, I've been making it for as long as I know, and my mother's been making it for that long, and my grandmother was making it. So
you got your grandmother's recipe, is that
yeah,
it?
it's my Marion Mattice.
I was going to ask for the recipe, but if you just want to make it and bring it down, that's even better.
Yeah, David wants the recipe. I told him.
Call it coffee cake. He doesn't deserve it.
I'm not going to say it again. Katie's making fun
Say
of
it
me.
the right way. We'll talk. We'll talk.
Well, thanks for all for joining us. It's a pleasure to be here. Be here in my apartment, but no, be in the space with you all, and seeing some new faces and some faces I haven't seen in a while, and people I see too much. No, never mind. Just kidding. But it's wonderful. It's wonderful for you to join us, and I'm very blessed to have our special guest speaker with us this evening, and who is also a member of the Open Doorway, Katie, who is repping her I Love Brooklyn Arbor. Is it Arbor?
Arbor, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the elementary school.
I was wondering if it was like I like trees in Brooklyn.
I like trees in Brooklyn.
I think that Arbor is like
yeah. Ruby School's like very eco forward.
Okay.
Very eco, yeah.
So we're very blessed to have her be a guest speaker this evening, and I'm letting in a few more people here. Welcome.
Some people tuning in just by phone?
No, not everybody. Do you? So, in just a moment, we will begin service, and we will start with an invocation. And I apologize for any background noise. It has become now warm outside because it's spring. Could be, and therefore, if there is a lot of that goes on outside of my window, even though I'm on the 5th floor. So if you do hear any noise on my end, I apologize, but bear with me. So let's take a moment and close our eyes and take a deep breath in as we enter this sacred space of prayer, healing, and worship. And just breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Divine Parent, thank you for granting us this space. Thank you for allowing us to be together this evening. Thank you for providing us the tools so that we can be here, but at a distance, keeping everyone around us safe. And bless us as we go forth in this hour's endeavor, as we express our love and our gratitude for you, as we heal and restore our energy, and as we listen to your infinite wisdom. Amen.
Amen.
you don't notice oh, you do notice my desktop. That's actually a painting of my other godfather. He painted that many years ago for Paul as a gift, which I have in my room. You've probably been seeing it at every service, so you're wondering what that is all about. And we are going to begin reading the Spiritualist Principles, and I will just ask if you care to join in, please do, and I will go slowly. We subscribe to the following principles: infinite intelligence, the deity designing and creating energy for everything in the universe. One universe,
many dimensions.
from
From
one
one source
all
came all that is present in our world, our galaxy, and beyond.
the immortal soul.
The immortal soul.
Soul is
The soul is eternal.
truth
We
within
seek truth within ourselves, from other souls,
sacred
from
writings,
sacred writings,
and
and from the natural order that sustains us.
communication
between the
Material
material
and
the
non-material
non-material
world. Spirit transcends all dimensions. All souls, flesh, and spirit communicate with each other. Personal responsibility. Cause produces effect through thoughts, words, and deeds. We create ourselves and our circumstances, and we are singly responsible for our choices and creations. The golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is our highest morality.
I remember when we were meeting up in Brooklyn at the Awakening, and how when we would gather together in service, we would all read that together in unison, and it was a beautiful, amazing thing. Created a lot of force and energy behind it. Now, with that said, we're going to go to the next portion of our service, and that will be the healing meditation. So wherever you find yourself, could be outside by a beautiful tree, Natasha, I see that. Or it could be in your car like Amara, or it could be in the office of a home, or a comfy couch, or maybe in the noisy New York City. Wherever you find yourself, get comfortable. Wiggle in your chair, wiggle your toes and arms and fingers as we begin to enter meditation. And close your eyes if you haven't already. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Really feel the air pass your lips. Take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it there for a moment. Keep that air in and release. Now breathe normally. And with every breath, you feel more and more relaxed. Any tension in your neck and shoulders begins to fade away. Any discomfort in your lower back, hips, legs, all that begins to fade away. Begin to feel a tingling sensation in your toes and your fingers. And you feel this weightless feeling come over you. Whatever's underneath you, supporting you, also begins to fade away. You're floating, weightless. Place that you find yourself in begins to fade in the background. You begin to be surrounded by white light of healing and love. Feel calming warmth. Feeling of peace and tranquility. This white light swirls around you as though a cloud coming down from the sky to bless you with its energy. Removing any distractions, all worries subsiding. Your mind becoming empty. This white light, this white cloud around you. Begins to hover over your skin, over your eyes and mouth. See it dancing around you, sensing where it needs to go to offer healing. Allow this light to enter your body. Breathe it in. And let the light find where you need the healing the most. enter your body. Filling your mind, your heart with warmth and love. Let that light inside you fill you up with its white light. Let it touch the very tips of your fingers and the very tips of your toes. Let it stretch out into your arms and your legs. Take a moment to really feel the power and strength in this white light. Feel the vibration all over your body. Take a few moments to really embrace this white light in silence. With your body having been filled, every surface, every point of weakness strengthened. You let this white light dissolve from your body. Let it come out of your pores. Envision it coming out of your mouth and your nose. Sense it coming off of your skin like steam, warming you in the process, relaxing you in your body. And leaving you with a sense of peace. Slowly, this white light surrounding you begins to fade away. Picture of the room that you find yourself becomes stronger. Feel some weight coming to your body. Feel the chair, the floor beneath you, supporting you. Feel sensation coming back to your toes and fingers. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes and come back to the room, space you find yourself in. And we'll be ready to say the healing prayer. And if you care also to join with me, please do, in reading the prayer for spiritual healing. And I will go slow. We ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from our minds and bodies and to restore us to perfect health. We ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and we will do our part. We ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. We put our love in the love and we put our trust in the love and power of Spirit. Amen. Thank you all for doing that. I hope it was very relaxing. For moving on to our next portion of our service is our offering. And one thing that we have been doing since the pandemic is forfeiting that typical usual donation that you would usually have given to the open doorway. We would ask you to direct your attention and possibly your some funds to a very good cause, a nonprofit organization or an organization that is doing some good in the world. And with, of course, the recent series of attacks on Asian Americans, I figured we should put our focus in helping our brothers and our sisters in advancing justice. And lo and behold, there is a organization called Asian Americans Advancing Justice, which since 1991 has fought for Asian Americans in the national conversations and determined policies that shape the lives of these people in that community. The organization acts as a voice for Asian Americans, which is the fastest growing population in the US, which is something I did not realize until recently. Fighting for civil rights through education, litigation, and public policy advocacy. And they serve to empower these communities by bringing local and national constituents together, and ensuring Asian Americans are able to participate fully in this democracy. So a very good cause. I will put the link in for everybody to follow if they want to donate, or if they want to just browse on the website, learn a little bit more about the organization and see other ways that they can contribute or help and be an ally in this just cause. And I particularly liked how this organization decided to hone in on what they wanted to put into the world, as opposed to what they wanted to stop. They wanted to advance justice, and putting in that intention of what they want to put into the world will have that positive outcome that everybody desires or should desire. Right. Thank you for hearing me out in our offering portion. And without further ado, I would love to introduce our guest speaker. She goes by Katie with Spirit, Katie Cabrera, Katie Beatty if she's mom. She is a good friend of the Open Doorway, a member of the Open Door. She's a psychic medium, intuitive consultant, Akashic record reader, healer, and I've been fortunate enough for the last few weeks to consider her part of the Psychic Friend club that we do on Clubhouse on a weekly basis. Clubhouse being this new app on your phone that lets you create a room and talk to really cool people. So we do that every week. But I'm also very blessed to call her friend and spiritual sister, Katie. The floor is yours. Welcome. And
thank you so much. Thank you for having me, guys. I'm really happy to be here. My husband, many of you know, Will is cooking dinner in the same room because we live in Brooklyn in a 1-bedroom apartment. So there might be a little
energy is welcome.
Yeah, the energy is welcome. Will, your energy is welcome. I think he's ignoring me. So yes, for me, the Open Doorway is such an important and special place. It has sort of been my family as I've been going through this massive change over the last couple of years, all of us growing into our sort of understanding of how we communicate with spirit and our place kind of here in these bodies on earth, and also our connection to the spirit world at large. I love you guys. So I appreciate you lending your ear as I speak today a little bit. I wanted to talk about loss and distance in the time of COVID. And I was just gonna like come out guns a-blazing and just start talking, but I decided to write down what I was thinking just to be a little more coherent and not babble too much. So I'll try to read this in the most conversational way possible. And I hope that you find it helpful, or it might have aligned with you or someone you know has experienced in the last year. Okay. So I don't believe any of us are coming out of this great year of change unscathed. Loss, growth, rebirth, we've all weathered our own cycles. And for the most part, we've weathered them alone. Even quarantined with loved ones, or perhaps even because we were quarantined with loved ones, the process has been somewhat lonely for many. Each of us has had our own experience, but what I'd like to touch upon specifically is the experience of losing a loved one from afar. The very first week of lockdown, my friend Gal called me distraught. Her mother, who we had both just seen days ago as she boarded her flight back to Israel, had been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and there was nothing we could do. Gal had to watch and comfort her mother from thousands of miles away, unable to travel to her home country due to lockdowns. This kept her from the physical comfort of her father and her brother back home, and then placed the burden of being the strong one for her children as they went through the loss of their grandmother and the chaos of early quarantine. In the end, she attended her mother's funeral via Zoom, which at the time seemed almost obscene, yet in retrospect was thankfully an option due to modern technology. After Gal, I had 2 other close friends lose parents, none to COVID, but all unexpectedly. Processing grief and searching for closure from a distance was something none of us had ever thought we would have to face. As someone who has a healthy understanding of death, I was able to support my friends and help them connect to the loved ones that they'd lost. But it's always easier to comfort someone else than to sit in your own grief, which is something I just had to face for the first time this year. I really thought I would get through this pandemic without my own Zoom funeral, and yet last Wednesday I found myself perched in front of my phone screen, hungover, viewing the vacant body of my grandmother through the miracle of technology. It was awful. Because no matter how deep and true our understanding of death in the spirit world runs, we're still living a very human existence. Even though we know our loved ones are always close, it doesn't mean we don't miss their voice, their touch, that one thing they cook that will never taste the same again. Having culture-specific death rituals is such an important tool for our little human brains to find closure when someone passes. So, what do we do when that is denied us? How do we handle the physical distance from our loved ones in their final days, and then again through the traditional grieving process? It is here when I become so essentially grateful for the connection of spirit that I, and we all have and can cultivate. When the challenges are hardest and the loss feels complete, we know deep down that our family and loved ones in spirit are just right there. It's a truth that resonates so intuitively that it cannot be ignored. Just like this magic little phone that is programmed to allow me to see my family from afar and to be here with you now, as humans, we are subtly equipped with the same technology. Our own spirits are not restricted to the bodies they inhabit. We can connect with our loved ones in spirit no matter the distance or circumstance. Even if we can't complete the usual funerary death rituals, we have the power to make our own. We sit with our loved ones in spirit. We speak with them. We ask them for comfort and can catch the whisper of touch. For me, the hardest part was feeling my grandmother finally decide it was her time to leave after weeks of ups and downs and struggles. She had stopped answering my texts from weakness. My only way to speak with her at this point was intuitively, when I would meditate and connect and send her healing and love. Did she sense it? Who can say? She's a staunch Catholic who may not have understood the beauty of spiritualism in this life. But as I connected with her, I saw my grandfather at her side, her parents, my great-grandparents, at her feet. I saw her fluffy dog, Molly, and her brother, who had preceded her by nearly 50 years, and I never knew, in his army uniform smiling. I saw her surrounded by angels, very Catholic angels that I knew would make her feel safe to move on. When she finally passed, I felt sadness and relief, but finally she could see my life here in New York. I knew that in spirit, she could be a part of my day-to-day in a way she never could have from living in another state. And so I challenge you to consider the idea of distance. Here in a body, on a planet with measurable leagues and miles, yes, we are often forced apart from each other. The freedom of energy and spirit, however, doesn't follow those rules. So just because our human eyes and human ears don't attune to the spirit world in the traditional sense. Know that the idea of measurable distance is a very silly thing for your mother, father, partner, grandparent, or friend in spirit. They're just right there. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little chitty chat. It's been a long month for me and my family, but I want to thank the Open Doorway community and all of my friends and loved ones in my little spirit family, and for supporting me. And I'm sending tremendous love and healing to all of us that have had to grapple with losing a loved one in the last year, especially those of us who were unable to do the things we normally would do to help our loved ones transition, the things we would normally do to assist our loved ones that are still here alive on earth with their grieving. And as I just described, kind of reminding ourselves as we heal and kind of get through all of the chaos of what's been going on, that our faith in our loved ones here and in spirit should never waver. Because I truly know that they're right around us. So, thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I'm sure everybody got something from that. I know I did. And to just touch on a point you made that is, I found the most profound piece in your talk was the relationship of, or the relation to us being at a distance because of this pandemic, to being at a distance with a loved one that has crossed over and transitioned, and how that we can find that common feeling from being in that situation. Yeah, it was a very profound thought, and it's going to stick with me. So thank you, really, truly.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we will get some, you'll get some feedback. You'll get some other comments too from other people once.
Dave, I know you're back there. I'm on my phone. I can't see you.
That was very nice, Katie.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, I'm sure more people will agree, and we'll talk a little bit afterwards too. And of course, share our thoughts about the talk. Just some announcements I'm going to put on the screen for you all to see. We got some upcoming events here for the Open Doorway. April 18th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time will be our next service. We will have our other friend and spiritual sister as our guest speaker, Jessica Goldberg, who is a psychic medium, intuitive consultant, teacher, Reiki master, healer, and we're really looking forward to her offering us her wisdom at next service on April 18th at 5 p.m. And of course, an email will go out, post on Instagram will go out as a reminder of that occurring, and also the link. We got some upcoming message circles. April 16th at 7 p.m. No, that is not a typo. That is correct. We are moving them down to 7 p.m. Eastern Time instead of 7:30. I figured everybody needs an extra half an hour of sleep and rest. I know I do. Then the next circle will be April 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and that we will be joined with Eugene Grigo, which is Greek, a wonderful psychic medium and friend of the Open Doorway, and vice president of the Spiritualist Church of New York City, which Janet is the president of. And you can make reservations for those circles at awakeningny.com/workshops. Then, as always, once a month, I go up to Port Jarvis. The spiritual healing and messages need to be spread to everyone. And I go up to Port Jarvis and I do an in-person message circle. And the next one will be April 17th. At the last service, I had made an error and said 4:30, but we changed it April 17th at 5:30 p.m. And it will go, of course, for the hour and a half, the 90 minutes that a seance usually does. So if you want to come up and join us for messages at Port Jarvis, is at 85 Pike Street. It's about 2 hour, a really scenic 2 hour train ride on the New Jersey Transit on the Port Jarvis line, or about an hour drive if you have a car. And of course, you can go to awakeningny.com to make reservations for that circle if you care to join. Irina, you have to run. Thank you for coming. A blessing to have you. Irina is a new addition to the Open Doorway family. And strangely enough, I met her through work. We hit it off, our energies connected. And then she and I realized that we had a mutual friend. And that friend is Jessica Goldberg. So look at that. So we had Spirit put us together. So she's been coming to a lot of the services. So lucky to have her, lucky to have all of you here. And with that, we're going to close the service with a benediction. We'll have a time to chat amongst ourselves. Feel like maybe this evening is one of those evenings where we can chat for a little bit. But just close your eyes for a moment as we prepare for a benediction and closing the service. Take a few deep breaths in. Let the positive vibrations, the healing energy, and the wisdom really soak in with every breath. I thought it appropriate with Katie's talk about transition and dealing with a loved one's transition, of using this opportunity to quote a stanza of a poem that I felt resonated to me about the topic, and a poem that has been coming up often in messages for me in this last week. And I'm going to, as our benediction prayer, quote the last stanza. The clouds that gather round the setting sun do take a sober coloring from an eye that hath kept watch over man's mortality. Another race hath been, and other palms are won. Thanks to the human heart by which we live, thanks to its tenderness, its joys and fears, to me, the meanest flower that blows can give thoughts that do not often lie too deep for tears. And in these words, infinite intelligence, give us strength as we go forward in our lives, knowing that sometimes we are challenged and we must face struggle, but allow us to give ourselves that strength to persevere and overcome. Amen. And this is the fun part where you get to all unmute your mics and say hello. Amada's home. She immediately transported home.
Well, interestingly enough, Katie, I was on the phone with my 90-year-old mother. So
Oh,
as we learn to help them transition to the next life. So she called to tell me about her doctor's appointment.
you know, those kinds of things that can seem so mundane take a special meaning when you get to hear their voice and think about, you know, there's a time when it might not be there, but
is
it's
correct.
wonderful that you have such a close relationship with her, even if, are you able to see her right now? Or are you distancing from her?
We have, but not as often because of the coronavirus. So,
Mhm.
but anyways, it's so appropriate that you would talk about that tonight, because I also was talking to a friend who had just visited her 93-year-old mother-in-law, and you know, we're sort of guiding them into their next life.
Mhm.
A very important role. So I find it really wonderful, you know, and fascinating watching my family and then my friends also who in a couple cases things happened quite suddenly, so they weren't really able to be as involved as one would want to be. But I think being the support for someone who's preparing themselves to transition, even if they aren't fully emotionally or mentally aware that that's even the place where they're at, is such an incredible responsibility. I mean, I don't even want to use responsibility. It's such a beautiful role, you know, to know that your loved one is going with like such love behind them into more love. I think, you know, a lot of people with the pandemic, and some who've crossed over didn't have that opportunity, and they were very much alone at the point of transition. And I think there's a lot of pain that's going to be, people are going to be grappling with over the next couple of years as they kind of face some of these. I mean, their traumas, really, if you think about it, because we have these like very important, like I said, these cultural structures, these norms that assist us in people transitioning, and you know, when you remove all of that structure, you can kind of feel like you're afloat. And so I think it's just so touching and wonderful that you're able to chat with your mom, and well, like, you know, someday I'll do that for my mom, and Ruby will do that for me.
That is true. It is a rite of passage.
Absolutely.
Especially one that we have taken before and will take again.
Mm-hmm.
And but it is a knowing and a forgetting, to quote another line from the poem that I quoted in my closing prayer, which actually has to deal with that life, that remembered life before life,
Mm-hmm.
and entering into this new life with its struggles, but with a childlike wonder. So I also got a lot out of your talk, Katie, with just of course reminders of you know, my friendship with Paul, and how I often tell people that despite him physically being not present in body here, that even through dealing with his transition, I have not only continued that relationship, that friendship with him, but also strengthened it. And it has grown even through that transition. And to assure people that is a incredibly profound feeling to have. And especially when dealing with somebody that you love so much and unconditionally, that has transition, crossed over. And yes, you miss the touch, you miss the hugs, the talking, the making your favorite meal that will never taste the same. I feel that loss, but friendships and relationships, they're meant to change over time.
Mm-hmm.
And even in a physical relationship, like one where I can see the other, our friendship, our relationship may start as one thing but change into something more. And I feel as that if we put that perspective to that transitioning, then we can have a greater understanding of of why we're here and what we're going towards. So as you can tell, your talk has given me a lot to think about. And Janet, you're muted, so we can't hear your wonderful voice. And it is wonderful.
During your talk, I went to send you some light. So I turned on my light and I went to send you light, and your grandmother appeared. And it was almost like a triangle of light where I saw her. And I thought it was strange because I thought it was really soon for that to happen. But I got a very protective feeling. She was very protective over you. And one thing that stood out quite a bit was it was like she had a rolled up newspaper or a magazine and she was going like this with it.
That's so her.
and it wasn't in a bad way. Kind of reminded me like you, like you just watch yourself right there, but I'm not a mean person type of thing. It was really neat the way she came through, and I figured I'd share that with you. But
thank you. I'm glad you did, because that is a really wonderful way for her to show her personality without saying anything. You know what I mean? That's even that little detail, without a doubt, that's my grandma.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Exactly
thank
how
you.
she showed up.
Mm-hmm. She was a tough cookie.
Just to let everybody know that, and to answer a modest question, but I'm sure everybody else is curious, this service was recorded, so it'll be up to our YouTube channel to view at a point of a later time. And I did also throw into the chat for everybody the poem that I quoted, and it is considered one of the greater poems of written in the last couple centuries. And it was written by a man named William Wordsworth, who from just reading a lot of his poems possibly was a very early, they didn't necessarily call themselves that, but it probably would have been a spiritualist if it had been around at that time. And just a wonderful words. And it's funny how one of the messages that had been kept coming up the poem, but I remember doing a school report in college. I had taken a poetry class out of whim to get an English credit, and I did we were supposed to interpret a poem, and I did one by William Wordsworth, and because I really loved his poetry and how he expressed his words and wisdom, and I don't know, it brought me back to that time, that experience. So worth looking into his stuff. And the title of the poem is Ode, Intimations of Immortality from Recollections of Early Childhood. And intimations is, as I've learned from a wonderful friend of ours, Alex Murray, who often quotes this poem, probably why I've heard it often enough. Intimations is suggestions, musings, possibly. Not necessarily rules or guidelines, but just thoughts. So
I'm glad that you posted it, because I've heard pieces of that before and I didn't know what it was from. So I really want to read the whole thing, because I loved what you quoted, and I really, really especially loved the idea of I'm going to mess up the order, the forgetting and the remembering, or the forgiving and the knowing, or the idea of the cycle, how, beyond, like, I feel like the last year you've all kind of had to deal with like very human, normal, in your face, like shit sucks right here, right now, like on this earth. But in the grander scheme of things, when in calmer times, I think it's much easier to remind ourselves and tap into this broader sense of, this is one of who knows how many times my spirit's been in a body connected to all of these wonderful people around me, or some not so wonderful, there are lessons in everything. But having this broader holistic view of just how things work is so comforting. But sometimes we just have to cocoon ourselves and be sad and process things as little humans do. But I liked that line specifically because it was a nice reminder of just how much bigger everything is than our small little perspective sees.
The lines of stanzas that at least what the first line that you clued into, it goes as this, which I feel will resonate with everybody. So I'll read it really quick. Our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life star, hath had elsewhere its setting, and cometh from afar. Not an entire forgetfulness, not an utter nakedness, but trailing clouds of glory do we come from God, who is our home. And even says the next line, heaven lies about us in our infancy. So a really beautiful jumble of words.
I love it.
Yeah, so worth reading for everybody. It's a fairly long poem, and it was actually published in the couple series, but about, I think it was like in 3 parts. But yeah, if you have, maybe before you all go to bed, you can read it and get some of that energy. Mm-hmm. So, well, I hope everybody enjoyed tonight's service, and as you could see, the sun has come down and the Empire State is lit up. As we can, if we look to Matisse's window, yep. She like, you could be on the Wheel of Fortune, Matisse. I think that's your next gig. You're always like very quick to that when I say, wait, and we got the Empire State Building.
I'm accepting offers. Thank you so much, guys. It's great to see everyone.
Yes, wonderful to see everybody.
So,
Janet, you're still on mute.
before we leave,
It was beautiful. How's that?
I had your album here, Janet, right next to me. I didn't want to.
My album?
Yeah, you have one of your albums here. For those that didn't know,
You mean?
Janet was a singer, a cabaret singer.
What?
And we didn't have that playing in the
What?
background?
Wait a minute, Janet.
Yes,
How long have we known you? Or do we know you?
Wait a while. Well, I came to cabaret rather late. I started in liturgical music. And then I became a leader recitalist, and which I love. And oh well.
Well,
Yes,
Janet,
I was a professional singer before.
you have a
many years.
whole wait. You have a whole 2 boxes of this. If you're trying to get rid of copies, I think this is the opportunity.
I'll take one.
Okay. Wow.
This may be your second wind of your career.
Which I made several, 6 or 8 CDs. Which is the one that you have there?
It's where Bill does Miles.
Journeys Through the Heart.
Yeah.
Journeys Through the Heart. It's all songs of Robert Miles. Yeah, he was a wonderful songwriter. He really was. He wrote in the style of the great American songbook of the 30s and 40s. Very beautiful, very good composer. We liked his work a lot.
Well, I look forward to checking it out now that I know it exists. Wish I had known it existed earlier. I would already have a
I'll
copy.
send you a copy.
Yes, please.
Hey, Katie, we may even get you a signed copy.
Oh, my birthday's not till
Wow.
August. Do I deserve it?
Yes. August when?
August 23rd, first day of Virgo.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you,
I gotta go.
everybody,
But it was lovely, Katie. It was really
Yeah,
a very
Many
beautiful talk.
blessings.
And I'm so pleased that Terence recorded it, because I've been just started this week doing grief counseling with a Chinese woman who was unable. Her mother just died in China last month, and she was unable to go because of the pandemic, and she's just been devastated.
It's very
So
difficult. Yeah.
your talk would be very helpful to her, I believe.
Oh,
So that I'll be able to tell her. Eventually, Terence will tell me how I can advise her to contact
Mhm.
well,
It was beautiful.
thank you, Janet, and I hope that she over time
I'm
can
sure
feel a
she-
little.
Yeah, I'm sure she will. I'm sure she will.
Amanda, you're gonna get a copy. Don't worry.
Thank you. And I would like to say something to Katie. It was nice that you mentioned about, even though we're spiritual, we still miss in our human condition now, we
Yes.
still miss and long to have our loved ones with us, to hear them, to be able to contact them in our human experience. But it's also nice that you also reflected, being that we're all spiritual, that we could always reach out to them in that form. And it has brought me a lot of comfort to be able to reach out to my loved one through spirit. So that was nice that you mentioned. It was also nice that you mentioned that even though culturally we all have these guidelines and things that we're supposed to do for our loved ones when they transition, it was nice that you also mentioned that not only because of the times, but it has enabled us to maybe move away from those guidelines or those cultural to do kind of. I was raised Catholic, and for the first year anniversary of someone transitioning, they usually have a mass. You usually send to have a mass in their name. So for me this year, I found myself in a place where this is what I'm supposed to do, but do I really want to do that? And my daughter just said to me, Ma, I don't want the headache. We're going to have a dinner for Dad, and he's going to sit at the table with us. And that's exactly what happened.
I love
he
that
even complained.
so much.
Yeah, he even
Oh.
complained that I was being stingy with his food. He told my daughter, tell your mom to stop being stingy. Give me more. So thank you so much.
Lovely.
Because,
Thank you.
yes, because sometimes we lose, that perspective, in our grief.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Beautiful.
wow. That's
That was beautiful.
Thank you,
Thank
Amada.
you.
That was lovely.
Thank you guys for
Good
being
night,
my
folks.
family.
Oh,
love you
absolutely.
guys.
Beautiful.
That is another addition to the Openberry family.
Yes. Okay. Bye-bye.
Amada,
Bye-bye, everyone.
Her and her
hold
Good
on one sec,
night.
Amada, before you
Everyone,
go.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Amada,
Katie.
Amada, hold on,
Bye.
before
Good
you
night.
Bill
go.
and Ruby.
Well, did she go? Oh, no,
I think
Amada,
Janet
while you were speaking, I saw a man, an older gentleman. He had it looked like his graying on the sides or total gray. I couldn't get a good picture of that, but he looked like he was well dressed in a suit with a tie, and I felt like a father or grandfather figure. But and then as you were talking, he held up a rabbit. Does that make any sense to you?
I'm sorry.
Does that make any sense to you? And one thing specific, he held up a rabbit.
That sounds like my dad. But the rabbit, I can't see the relation. Could you think of anything?
I didn't know if it was a pet or food, or if it stood for something else. I don't know. I'll look it up and put some thought into it.
Okay.
Here I have a spirit animal book here. Maybe it's representative of something, a message. Now,
but it was when he specifically showed up, very well dressed. Was he like that normally, or?
No, that's the thing. He was not.
Ah.
He was not, David. So this is seeing him in a whole new light.
Yeah, let's see. This I have a quick rabbit in my little, spirit animals book. I'll read it to you quick. And it's actually a message. It's not what the rabbit stands for, but when I see a rabbit, this is